From a purchase standpoint, the rates are, I mean, they're great right now. So those who are looking at buying a home, it's a great opportunity
Yeah.
to get out there and purchase.
Hmm.
Call Daniella.
Today, we have a special guest, Mr. Mark Cutler, and he is the Assistant Vice President and Branch Leader of the BB&T Now Truist here in Beaufort, in this area. Is that right, Mark? Did I get that correct?
You were perfect. Said it.
Perfect. See that? All right. I can still wing it. I still got it, even if I'm in my living room all day, every day.
Uh,
So anyway, so Mark is here today, and he's really going to give us kind of an overview and an idea of what's happening from his side of the industry in the financial market and what he's been seeing. He recently, over the course of the last several days and several weeks, he's been getting updates as far as all these SBA things and the Paycheck Protection Programs and things like that. So we will go over all of that today, and we will also take questions. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and towards the end, we'll go ahead and address any of those that come through. So guys, thank you for being here. So Mark, let's just start with what you've been seeing. Let's start with the SBA. I know that's a lot of what's on people's
yeah,
minds, that Small
yeah,
Business Association, and what they're doing here as far as relief or assistance or what have you. And then, of course, the efforts to streamline that, because there's a lot of misinformation. So just
yeah.
tell us what you're thinking on that, what you're seeing.
Sure, sure. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on and talk to your guest today. It's quite an honor, so I appreciate that. So what I'm actually tell you about these SBA loans. There's two particular products that seem to be very, very popular these days. One is the disaster relief program, which will help small business clients continue to operate with, utilities and so forth, keeping their day-to-day operations running. Now that is a loan actually directed directly through SBA. And then the ever so popular, the PPP, which acronym for Payroll Protection Program,
Mm-hmm.
that is the one that everyone is seeking for now, for many reasons, obviously, but hopefully for the main reason to be able to continue to pay their salaries for their employees who trusted their lives with to work for a company, and who would have ever thought, a month ago or 2 months ago we would be where we are today.
That's a tough
And
position for all of us.
yeah, I mean, and I get to see it firsthand, dealing with the financial sector. But back to your question on the payroll protection, is a really big program right now. Um, it was a mad dash. It was supposed to be implemented last Friday, and as of Saturday morning, Truist and many, many other banks were still receiving direction from SBA on how to underwrite these loans, how to process these loans. There were a lot of details that came out early Saturday. So literally, there's been, 24/7 work from the SBA and then the participating financial institutions to implement this program, uh,
Mm-hmm.
really at a snap of a finger. And between Saturday and today, we have received over 80,000, right at 80,000 loan requests, or I won't say loan, but really it's a grant because it can be forgiven if you use it correctly. Um, we've received approximately 80,000 requests
Mm-hmm.
just through the Truist system in the last 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you can tell, and as you probably know, I have been extremely busy starting the initial underwriting processes of my segment of those loans. And it will be a long 2 weeks. And hopefully, if I can give any suggestions to any of the small business, just from my personal experience over the last 24 to 48 hours with these loans, if you are in need of this particular loan, you must apply directly through your bank if it's a participating bank. Now, every bank has given various guidelines on what is required to be eligible for that particular, we'll call it for the sake of our conversation, a grant, because hopefully it will be forgiven.
Sure.
Every bank has a little different qualifications, and if you are involved with a business relationship with that bank, and what most banks are qualifying as business relationship is either a loan or a deposit account, business checking account, or savings account at that institution. If they are not a participating bank, there's not a list that I've found out there that would give the banks that do not require a deposit relationship with them. If that list were to ever come out, I would I don't know how they would ever sleep because everyone rushed to get to that bank.
Sure.
So what I would say is, follow the guidelines through most of your financial institutions, banks. There should be some documents that will be required to be uploaded. It is not something that you will normally sit down with an individual to discuss. There's a lot of legal aspects that come along with that. There's a lot of liability for the bank associates to be able to advise someone how to correctly or how to correctly fill out a form that would hold true to the sense of a big legal issue. So you would have to complete that, upload the documentation. If I could give any advice that I've received over the last couple of days is make sure that you upload what is requested of you. Don't rush to get through the process to get your name in the system. That's only going to delay you and everyone else.
Right.
We will not process a loan request for that grant if you have not uploaded the documents. We will put it in a holding status, communicate with you. But just think, if you're receiving 80,000 requests, and as of right now, I would say probably a good 40% of them they're incomplete. We've got that's time that we could really be working on getting money into the hands of people who really need it. And to be quite honest, I've talked to countless businesses and business owners who are really considering shutting doors because this is not a permanent fix. And we hope that things will get back to normal very, very soon. And we've seen some indication just from a governmental standpoint. They're beginning to think things are moving in the right direction with the pandemic that we're facing. So that's having a little positive move in the markets. We're seeing some optimism coming back, so that if we can continue to do what we're doing from a financial perspective and get the money into the hands of the people that really, really need it, just think about how many lives that would actually impact and how many lives that would change immediately. So, there's a lot of positive that's coming out of this. There will be a lot of people that we'll be able to help, but we've got a lot of work to do in a short period of time to get there. So take the time and invest to upload and make sure you're filling out your documents correctly. It's better to take a little extra time up front than to take a lot of extra time on the back end.
Yeah.
Because if we've got to circle back around to get to that loan that was put on hold, it might be 3 or 4 days before we get to it.
Right. And that 3 or 4 days makes a big difference right now.
Well, absolutely. And our goal, if from the time that you submit it, and this is only from a truist perspective, our goal is to be able to receive that application, have the initial underwriting process, have a contingent operating process, and then fund that loan. We're shooting for about 3 to 4 days to be able to do that. That's pretty quick.
That's very quick.
That's pretty quick. That's our goal. We have worked literally. My eyes can barely keep them open now because I'm so tired, because we've really been working a lot of hours trying to help a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, good work for you guys, and thank you for doing that and staying up on all of this information. We are seeing some questions roll in, guys. Just remember, we will address the questions at the end so we can get to all the important information. And then also, as we move through this conversation, your questions very well may be answered. So we're going to hold all of those till the end. But moving on. So, what are you doing as far as helping customers right now? So you mentioned having a banking relationship versus not having a banking relationship. And if somebody comes to you and they say, well, I'm not a Truist, formerly BB&T client customer, but I've been thinking about switching, or my bank really isn't helping me on this. How does that conversation look? If somebody wants to come to you and say, well, I'd like to start this new relationship, they're not already an established customer of yours. What does that look like if they're trying to take advantage of these programs as well?
That's a very good question. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of good answers for you on that. You have to have an account prior to this whole issue coming up.
Okay.
So we've had some instances out there. You can read in the news about banks recently that have been disqualified from this particular program. Okay. I won't get into the specifics of that because that's not the nature of this conversation, but you can do your own research on that. We have received a lot of kickback from that client. When I mean kickback, clients wanting to come to me because they've either been informed about me or they just inquiring. However, they came to me. They came to me wanting to open up new relationships to take advantage of the payroll protection program. Well, unfortunately, you have to have an account prior to February 15th in order to qualify for that. This is not because we have a
Let me
lot.
stop you real quick. You just said
Yeah.
February 15th, prior to February 15th.
Prior to February 15th, 2020.
Okay, that's important for our viewers to know. Okay.
Right. Good question. So if you didn't have an account prior to February 20th, we will still welcome the account, but it won't be, you would not be eligible for the PPP.
Okay. And for those who just tuned in, can you remind us what that stands for?
Payroll Protection Program.
Okay.
That's the SBA product that's forgivable if you use the expenses for a percentage of the expenses for payroll, just to keep your employees paid through this pandemic.
Right. Can you give us a quick rundown of what those percentages are?
I would have to direct you back to SBA.gov.
Okay.
There's a list of all type of requirements and so forth.
Okay. SBA.gov.
SBA.gov.
Okay.
You're welcome to, I'm not trying to promote what we're doing, but I know where to go on our site. If you go to truist.com, TRUIST.com, you'll see a COVID-19 response up at the top right corner. Again, this is just to direct you quickly so you don't have to search for it. I know where it's at on our site. So at the top right of the site, you'll see where it says COVID-19 response. If you click on that, it's going to give you what you will need, what you'll need to know, what you'll have to qualify, what types of businesses qualify. If I started going through that, I might miss some things, but I would rather the viewers take advantage of all the information as opposed to me missing some of the important details.
Okay. So, guys, for our viewers, we'll go ahead and drop that link in the comments when we're finished with this video. And Mark, if you'll take care of that, that'd be great. You can just send them right to that resource so that they can at least start their search there and sort of understand what's going on. So let's pull a little bit more big picture right now, because we've been talking a lot about banking and this particular program and this particular issue. But let's talk a little bit about the financial market in general for a moment. What have you been seeing? Because it has been very interesting. It has been up, down, and all over town, as far as I can tell. And there are all these questions, of course, from my end, what I do for a living. I'm getting questions about, well, how does this affect the mortgage rate? When the Fed rate went basically to zero, they were like, well, I got to lock in my mortgage. That's not exactly how that works. So, that's a conversation. But it really is. I mean, you and I, the people in our industries, there's a lot of crossover, and they're all financially based things. And we are the ones who need to be able and be prepared to educate our clients and customers and consumers, because you're not just going to know all of that offhand. I mean, we think it's normal because of what we do for a living, but we're the resource. That's why we exist, right? That's why we have value. So from your perspective, what are you seeing in the financial market? Maybe just what are you seeing right now? And then what's your forecast, maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year out? What are you seeing?
So you said it perfectly. I don't know how much more I could say. I mean, it's up, down, and everywhere right now. It's hard to target where the market is. I will speak directly, maybe from a real estate perspective. I can kind of tell you what I see from there, and I can a little bit tell you, from a financial sector, what I see. A lot of that really is contingent on consumer confidence and, where we're going to get through these next couple of weeks with this pandemic. But from a real estate perspective, refinances, if you are in the refinance market, I've got some connections throughout that particular segment of particularly lending. I've got some good partnerships there. And I've spoken with many of them over the last couple of weeks. And all of them are saying the same thing. Refinances right now are priced very, very high. And that is mainly due to the volume of clients right now wanting to refinance, assuming that the rates were just cut nearly, like you mentioned before, to record lows. So everybody's rushing to get a refinance. Well, what that's doing is it's driving the demand. It's almost overwhelming for mortgage brokers and banks to manage. And particularly at a time like this.
Well, it's Econ 101, right? I mean, that's supply and demand.
Supply demand.
That's right.
So what it's doing is it's driving the rates up right now on the refinance market to slow down some of that interest, so that we really can focus on the things that are really hot right now, which are purchases. Okay. So if you're looking at refinancing, you can go check with your bank or your financial institution. We are seeing a downward trend, however, in the refinance pricing. However, the market is still priced above the market at this time because there's still so much demand out there for that particular product. From a purchase standpoint, the rates are, I mean, they're great right now. So those who are looking at buying a home, it's a great opportunity to get out there and purchase. Call Daniella; she'd be able to help you. I know, at least get some ideas to help you work through that. But it's a great time to purchase. Historically low rates right now.
They are, and they have been for a
been-
while. And fortunately, they've not really spiked in all of this because so many people, their focus right now was on that refi segment, that a lot of people have pulled out of that purchase and sale market, at least for the short-term time being, because of all the uncertainty.
Sure.
Right. And so there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. I mean, even for those people who were kind of mid transaction and decided to pull out. And unfortunately, I've seen some of those in my own business.
Sure.
There's just a lot of uncertainty, but I think people are starting to maybe, I don't want to say relax a little bit. Of course, the name of this whole thing is remain calm for a reason, right? Keep your head on straight. But, but if you have the financial wherewithal to be able to proceed in this market, it's a good time. It really is. And that is not me selling you anything. It is a good time.
It's a great time it's a really, really good time from a real estate perspective. It's a really, really good time from a financial investing perspective.
Yep.
I'm not a licensed advisor. I can't advise you on anything on the markets, but I can tell you,
I can.
if you, but if you are true to the whole theory of buy low and sell high,
that's right.
I don't know how much lower it can get right now. So if you are, if you appreciate that perspective, then then take that for what it is. But from the real estate perspective, there may be some people who are listening who've been impacted from a financial perspective, and they're not able to pay their bills. They're not able to pay the mortgage and so forth. Contact your bank. Their banks are offering a lot of support right now for those car loans. Everything. Anybody who's lending right now, we found out I think this morning that insurance companies now are starting to give back money because people are driving less. Well, companies are looking because, number one, you don't want to be the only one left out. And two, it's just the right thing to do. So contact your financial institution to find out what options are available. I know that we're offering forbearances and deferrals on certain products, and so are others. So, don't feel like you're alone in this. You have support out there. I can tell you that if there's any CEOs or corporate owners who have any type of integrity, they would really want to be there for their clients through all of this and do whatever they can for as long as they possibly can to assist those who have given back to them for so long, and to help them become who they are as well. I think it's just the right thing to do.
Exactly. So before we get to our Q&A section, this final question that I ask everybody that comes on: what is one thing from your perspective, your profession, that you would recommend our viewers be doing right now, or if they're not, go ahead and start? Or it could even be in the negative. What's something they're probably doing that they shouldn't be doing? So I'll give you the floor.
Well, it's for those who choose to defy social distance, maybe go get a massage and relax a little bit, stay calm. But if you want to stay, social distance, I would say really the whole theme of your message is stay calm. You really at this time, and that really transpires through so many different components of our life. Stay calm. This too will pass. Obviously it will have an impact on all, and has had a tremendous impact on all of our lives and all of our families' lives. But stay calm.
Nobody's unscathed.
No, everybody's being touched by this, and I can tell you from the executives down to whatever position you want to go to on what is considered on the low totem pole, everyone in there in between has been impacted by this.
No doubt about it.
So stay calm. it's going to pass. It will pass. Will there be impacts? There's already a lot of impacts.
Mm-hmm.
But if any of you or your viewers are anything like me, we have already been through some difficult times in our life, and this is just another opportunity for us to overcome, based on the knowledge that we've had and grown from the experiences that we've had in the past. So, number one, I would say stay calm. And then two, I would say start assessing your financial strategy. I mean, where do you want to go? Once this thing starts passing, I think in times like this, it's a great opportunity to start planning and strategizing on how you want to be after this is all over.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you envision yourself to be after this is all over? And start now well, I mean, really think about it. We've got probably for
no
most
time like the present.
We have more time on our hands than we've ever had on our hands.
That's right.
Because we're home. Start thinking about where you want to be when this is over in the next year, the 6 year or 5 year mark. Where do you want to be? And start planning. And then number three, I'll start really say maybe evaluate your debt structure. Because companies right now are looking to help, see where your debt structure's at.
Seems like a great opportunity for that too. For people who are leveraged, now's the time to really look at that, right?
Yeah, that's perfect time to do it. So, I mean, there's a lot we all can learn from this, and those are just some of the things. There's a lot we can all learn from this, but I just feel like this is going to make us all better in the end. So I appreciate the opportunity for me to come on and talk to your guest about what I'm seeing from a financial, perspective.
Fantastic. Well, before we go, looks like we have one question that came through that wasn't answered. So will sole proprietors, this is from Christian. Christian, thanks for being here. Will sole proprietors be able to apply for PPP if they don't have any employees? I think I know the answer, but you go ahead.
Okay. Sole proprietor, if you are receiving pay, sole proprietors, according to the guidelines, and again, if you go to truist.com over there, the COVID-19, you'll scroll down and it talks specifically about the sole proprietors. But sole proprietors are entitled to apply for this. You still have to document. You have to justify the income through quarters through 2019.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hope that answers the question.
Perfect.
Any insight you want to give on that, Daniella?
What's that?
Any insight you want to give on that?
Well, yeah, to my knowledge, I mean, a lot of us in real estate, we are either sole proprietors or even more commonly just independent contractors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there are ways for those who are structured the way that most realtors are to also be eligible for this because, of course, it's very much a profession. It's not a payrolled profession in a lot of cases. You are not an employee unless you're employing yourself or you're employed with, some team or a boutique firm or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are ways. So yeah, if anybody, I should say too, if there are anybody's interested in some insights from sort of my end of that, whether it's real estate or just another independent contractor structure, reach out to me directly. Let me know because I do have some breakdowns out of our company, Charter One Realty, that maybe will help you guide yourself as well. And then, of course, as Mark shared, and he'll share that link with us in the comments, where to go to sort of read up on that and self-search, and figure all of that out. But I don't think we have any more questions. Mark, thank you so much. Mark Cutler with Truist, formerly BB&T. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And guys, if you are either watching this later and not live, or you are on Instagram or whatever, what have you, this will be up on IGTV. This will become a podcast. This will become a blog post if reading text is more your thing. So you'll be able to find this in a lot of different places if you want to refer back, especially to the text, if there's a particular piece of information that you feel like you missed or that you'd like to review. So, Mark Cutler, again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Danielle.
Stay safe and healthy.
All right, you as well.
Thanks.